we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody's good. I am great because we're diving back into the lab and we're discussing running backs again, man. Kendre Miller is the next prospect on my board that we need to dissect and understand who he is. And admittedly, you know what? He's a good talent that I had some question marks on, but I got some positive things to say about this young man because I think he could have a decent future in the NFL. So follow me, waste no time. Let's talk a little Kendre Miller, TCU product, now New Orleans Saint. It is easy to get excited about a running back who played on a TCU club that won 13 games and made it to the national championship this past season. Yes, they did get blown out by those Georgia Bulldogs. What was it, 65-7 or something like that? But I mean, Kendre Miller was a big part of this offense at TCU, hence why his draft stock did inflate over the offseason. Let's talk about the team that drafted him, those New Orleans Saints. And there's a lot of change over here in New Orleans. Now Derek Carr is the starting quarterback. He's still got Chris Olave. Hopefully Michael Thomas is coming back, but they picked a Kendre Miller round 3, pick number 8. Felt a little bit high for me. Thought he might have gone probably on day 3, but I understand where the Saints are trying to go with this draft pick in this respect. Get him early, and hopefully you can turn him into what you want him to turn into. And we talk about the Saints depth chart. We got, of course, Alvin Kamara. We got Jamal Williams, new free agent signee, Eno Benjamin, and Elias Merriweather, rookie in the backfield here. This is the room to contend with. And it is interesting because we know that Alvin Kamara is dealing with some legal troubles. We still don't know if he's going to get suspended. This is the ongoing situation that we have seen. The NFL typically doesn't suspend players until legal proceedings are concluded. And until we realize that about Alvin Kamara, he could play this season before everything's all said and done. But signing a Jamal Williams helps add that punch of the 1-2 punch that we understand and we're so, reminiscent of with the Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara show back in the day. This is what you almost feel like the Saints are trying to continue to replicate, and they're also doing it with hedging their bets by drafting a Kendre Miller in the 3rd round. And I don't hate the move whatsoever because I do believe Miller is a very talented player. He's not going to give you everything you probably want out of your starting running back, but he is going to be more than lights out if he's playing next to a guy like Alvin Kamara where they can split carries and touches along the way. Jamal Williams did sign his contract. I believe it was 2 years, if not 3 years. And I mean, he can teach a young Kendre Miller how to play ball in the NFL, and it's almost very similar-esque type of skill sets between Williams and Kendre Miller, but Miller does have a lot of good talents to discuss. And I do like the landing spot. I think this could bode very well for this backfield. And if it is, it does come to pass that Alvin Kamara is going to miss time due to suspension, it's Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller. That's a pretty damn good 1-2 punch that you're going to be leaning on. But when you talk about some measurables, this man stands 5'11", 215. He is 21 years of age, 33 contests in his collegiate career, 361 in attempts, 2,410 yards, a nice 6.7 on the average, 26 rushing touchdowns. A lot of that came from this past season, mind you, but he had a very good 2022 campaign, no kidding. He adds 29 receptions, 229 in receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Not really part of his whole bread and butter game, but he definitely did impress me enough to turn my head as the season wore on. I mean, everyone that was watching TCU play football this past year, something of a Cinderella type of story, but they played damn well. And like I said, Kendre Miller was a big part of that success. So we're talking about some pros. He's got some good ones, man. Great acceleration. I think that's one of the better parts of his game. Does he have the burst? I'm not overly convinced. And accelerators and burst are 2 different things in his game. And I do believe he is an accelerator, very much a deceptive second gear once he is in the open field. But the thing is, the caveat is there, he's got to get going down the field, and then you see that second gear kind of open up like almost a late turbocharger. He isn't crazy fast. Tape speed does show more than his 40 time. Last 40 time that we've got on record is a 4.58. So it's not, lightning quick wheels for a guy who's 215, but it is good enough in the pros to make a name for himself. But the tape speed is definitely better than anything I saw when it came to what he did clock as a 40 time. He does explode through the hole, and this is part of the accelerator aspect. He finds the hole, and bam, bam, he's gone through that hole, and you love to see that from your running backs. Very decisive in that sense. He's not going to have that wasted too much dancing in the backfield. He's going to find the hole, and he's going to try to bam through it. It is a very good first step. It's not the burst. It's a 1, 2 steps, 3 steps, and the accelerators are taken off. Very good in that respect. Compact frame for a guy who is 5'11". I do like it a lot. He's that tough grinder type of running back you're looking for. Some say he runs too high. I'm okay with it. I think that, he understands when to kind of compact himself, get a little bit lower, and, take that contact. I think it's very good in that respect as well. Very good body balance, almost to the point you could say he's quite athletic. He does have the spin moves. He's got that beautiful SWAT arm where, he can actually just shift the defender off to the side as he bounces in another direction. Very good in that respect. You don't see a lot of running backs do that quite often, but it's almost like a swim move, slap to the helmet, slap to the shoulder pads, and it opens up more lanes for him to continue to move forward. He does fall forward quite a bit. It is a big positive in my respects. He's got good hop cuts. It's not the full jump cuts. It's those tiny little hops that, you see running backs do. I do like it a lot. Added with the spin moves, hence why you can say he does have some athletic ability you can take notice of, and it is very good in that respect. Good avoid tackle in the open field. He does create in space, and I do like this as well because majority of the time you see with other running backs, they'll fall down, they'll get tackled easy. I don't think Kendre Miller is an easy tackle by any stretch of the imagination. He will try to gain extra yards. The burst and the accelerators, once he is in the open field, it's very, after contact, I should say, I'll hit that in the cons, but it isn't, on the elite trends. I don't think there is anything necessarily elite about a Kendre Miller. He does a lot of things very good to very great that you're going to definitely take notice of, and the avoid tackle creating in space is definitely on the mark in that respect where he is going to try to keep going forward and make extra yards after contact. Very good in that respect. He does bounce out extremely well in my opinion. Also, I think that he's not predicated to being the guy that we're thinking is going to always be the outside runner, but he can do it, and that's what you want to see. Holes close up in the line, and he's able to find and manufacture ways to get outside and continue to gain yardage. These are big positives for a bigger type of running back, okay? I do like his game in this respect. There is things that you can utilize out of his game, and he will pay dividends for this New Orleans Saints team. No kidding about that, man. He does have goal line upside. With a caveat, I'm going to say I want to see a little bit more leg drive out of him. It's not necessarily a con for me. That's why I'm kind of bringing it up here, but I do like the goal line upside that he will provide. Is he Jamal Williams at that point when it comes to being on the goal line and being automatic? I'm going to say today, no, but he can definitely work out in the weight room, understand leverage on the leg, push off, and he's going to get in that end zone majority of the time. I do like that about his game. There is lots of upside for him to be a goal line runner. Like I mentioned, 2022 13-1 TCU team. 224 attempts for 1,399 and 17 rushing touchdowns. So out of his 26 touchdowns in his collegiate career, he scored 17 this past season. Like I said, it was an absolute dream year for a Kendre Miller. Absolutely uplifted his stock and got him picked on day 2, man. First, some cons. Everybody's got him, and he's got some as well. One of the biggest ones I dread for my running backs is those heavy feet, man. You got to be like a ballerina out there dancing, floating. That's what you got to be. Kendre Miller does possess some heavy feet that I don't really like. We see big men like a Ramondre Stevenson is basically the latest that I have to say a big man with light feet. Dre is the one staple you got to say. Kendre Miller is not there in my opinion whatsoever. It doesn't stop him from making big plays and running down the field, but he does run with those heavy feet. I do not like that in my evaluation for my running backs, hence it's why it's a check down in the check boxes. Breakaway wheels are suspect. I mean, he can do it. We've seen him do it. but they're not consistent, and a majority of the time he will get caught from behind. So it's weird. Like I said, once he's chugging down the field, the accelerators kick in, and he does find that deceptive second gear, but it is so hit and miss at times that you're like, well, where is it, man? I've seen you do it before. Why can't you find it on this play? So there are situations where you're going to say, why? Is he gassed, or, did he, I couldn't put my finger on it. That's the point. Maybe having being gassed in the play of a game, I should say it that way, has taken it down. The fatigue, that's the word I was looking for, stumbling. But the fatigue matter, maybe that's part of it as well. But I mean, the breakaway wheel is definitely suspect for me. You're not going to sit here and credit him with having great speed down the field. More than enough, but just not great in that respect. Vision is average right now. This is more of a statement than a con. I think it was vastly improved from the year before to 2022. Huge leap forward in his vision and patience, and I only want to see this continue to grow. I don't think this is a negative. It's more of a statement to say that I do believe it was at an average rate, but it is improving and something to look forward to from a Kendre Miller. I think it's going to be that much better in the Saints locker room, in this backfield with guys like Jamal Williams and Alvin Kamara to school them up on where those holes need to be found. Stop-start burst is not great. And there's no way to sugarcoat this around it. I mean, where he does create in the open field, if he does have to stop to break a tackle or do that swim move or do that spin move, I mean, you're going to see it. It's very slow get up after that fact, so then he doesn't get that traction that you want him to see, and that's a problem for me, right? And maybe that comes into play with, the agility aspects of his game and, maybe the shuttle drills and the stuff like that, because the burst is definitely not there on the stop-start, and I don't like that about my running backs, but he is more than serviceable. That he doesn't necessarily need it, because you won't be utilizing him in that respect to be making hard cuts and jukes and shakes. And like I said, he's not overly elusive. The juke and shake is definitely not there. He is not Shady McCoy whatsoever. He does, like I said, have enough in the hop step to evade tacklers and create in the open field, but he's not going to shake people out of their pants, and that's not what you're getting from a Kendre Miller. He's, again, more than enough to be successful, just not what you're looking for in certain categories where the checkboxes cannot be marked as a true. This one is definitely a con, man. He didn't have the top-end fluidity that I was looking for as well. A little bit tight in some respects. But again, where he does succeed is dropping his shoulders, lowering the body frame just a little bit, and being that heavy pound runner that you do like to see. He can take a lot of punishment. He can handle volume, so you do like that about your running back as well. You're not talking up a Jamal Williams in the juker shake category either, so you gotta have the similar type of skill set in this running back that you already have on this roster anyway. I do love the fluidity in my wide receivers and my running backs. Did not pass the bill for me in this one, but again, it is one of his cons, man. Receiving upside is average to below average. I think his hands are okay. They're not going to be a detriment, but it's not necessarily something that you want out of his game at this point right now. If you can develop his hands as his career starts to go down in the NFL, then great. I think that's an absolute positive. You could develop something that was not necessarily a strength in his game. Big ups to the Saints if they can do that, but again, you have Alvin Kamara. You're not drafting Kendre Miller to be the pass-catching back, but I don't think he's going to be a liability. I just don't think it's part of his game that you're going to be, wowed about on a weekly basis. But I mean, for grading purposes, he's a good running back, and I think, after all the stuff that I dissected, all the film I went through, and my early opinion saying, yeah, he's okay, the heavy feet turned me off instantly right away when I evaluate early on in the whole process. I've gone through so much of his film already, and I went back on this video just to, see where I'm off and where I'm wrong. He's still graded pretty fair for me. 74.4% is Kendre Miller at this point. And I think that's a great score for him, especially in round 3. I think that's where the Saints were kind of hoping he would be score-wise as well. But there is a lot of positives that you can take out of his game. He can be relied upon potentially as a 3-down back in the NFL. I don't have any questions about that. I think with some development, some coaching, and some tutelage, he could be a very good runner in this league. I just think it may take some time, and there's potential that you won't round out these other aspects in the game that you want him to, but you got to take him for what he is. He's a pounder, he's a grinder, he's got some speed, he's got some abilities, athletic ability is there. Is it top end? Is he elite in any trait? Probably not, but he's very good to great in a lot of these as well, hence why he gets a great score I give him today. So there you have it. That is Kendre Miller, New Orleans Saints running back, former TCU product. Like I said, you can't say anything glaringly negative about the man, but I do believe there is opportunity to grow even more, get some more tutelage, like I said. But in this Saints backfield, as long as they have an Alvin Kamara on the field, they're going to be looking to recreate the Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara effect, and Kendre Miller could be that guy they're looking for to supplant all those losses when Ingram departed from these Saints. Even though they got Jamal Williams, there will be time for growth, but Kendre Miller is a good running back overall. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments. Saints fans, where you at? What do you think of Kendre Miller? What do you think of your season? I mean, you guys retooled. You got a new quarterback. You added a running back. Michael Thomas is back. What is your outlook that you look for, Saints fans? Throw it in the comments. We could definitely talk it out, but we'll see you next time. I am out.